Hi, this is Jyoti from Unix Academy. In this video, you are looking at the Kubernetes architecture and those nodes and their components. On the screen, you are looking at a diagram. It's showing the architecture and kubemaster and 4 Kubernetes worker nodes. Those worker nodes is connected to Kubernetes master. The Kubernetes master is connecting to user interface and command line interface, and outside our image registry is there. In this image registry may be Docker Hub or our private registry. And now look the components. Now you are looking the diagram on the screen. Master node contains 4 components. The main component is REST API server. This API server is connected to etcd, and the scheduler and controller managers is connecting to API server, and node side kubelet is connecting to API server. And I'll come to the point, what is API server? The API server communication hub for all cluster components. The whole diagram is the Kubernetes cluster. The API server is a hub to all the cluster components. Every component in the Kubernetes system makes a request to the API server. The kubectl command, the kubectl command line utility, it processes those API calls for us and allows us to format our request in the certain way. The Kubernetes API server validates and configures data for the API objects, which includes pods, services, replication controllers, and others. The kubectl API-resources, this is a command, will list the object types currently the objects. The API server services REST operations and provides the front end to the cluster's shared state through which all other components interact. That is about REST API server. And now come to the point, scheduler. Scheduler assigns your app to a worker node, auto detects which pod to assign to which node based on resource requirements, hardware constraints, etc. The Kubernetes scheduler is a policy-rich, topology-aware, workload-specific function that significantly impacts availability, performance, and capacity. The scheduler needs to take into account individual and collective resource requirements and quality of service requirements, hardware or software or policy constraints, affinity and anti-affinity specifications, data locality, inter-workload interference, deadlines, and so on. Workload specific requirements will be exposed through the API as necessary. Next thing is controller manager. This controller manager maintains the cluster, handles node failure, replicating components, maintaining the correct amount of pods, etc. The Kubernetes controller manager is a daemon that embeds the core control loops shipped with Kubernetes. In applications or automation, a control loop is a non-terminating loop that regulates the state of the system. In Kubernetes, a controller is a control loop that watches the shared state of the cluster through the API server and makes changes attempting to move the current state towards the desired state. There are four controllers behind the cluster. Those are the replication controller, endpoint controller, namespace controller, and service account controller. Next, come to the etcd. The important component is etcd. The data store that stores the cluster configuration. All Kubernetes objects are stored on etcd. Periodically backing up the etcd cluster data is important to recover Kubernetes clusters under disaster scenarios such as losing all master nodes. The snapshot file contains all the Kubernetes states and critical information. In order to keep the sensitive Kubernetes data safe, encrypt the snapshot file. Backing up an etcd cluster can be accomplished in two ways: etcd built-in snapshot and volume snapshot. On the screen right side you are looking node and nodes and node components. First one, kubelet. Kubelet runs and manages the containers on the node and talks to the API server. The kubelet is the primary node agent that runs on each node. It can register the node with the API server using one of the host name. The kubelet works in terms of pod spec. A pod spec is a ML or a JSON object that describes a pod. The kubelet takes a set of pod specs that are provided through various mechanisms, primarily to the API server, and ensures that the containers described in those pod sections are running and healthy. The kubelet does not manage containers which were not created by the Kubernetes. Other than from a pod spec from the API server, there are three ways that a container manifest can be provided to the kubelet. Next one is kubeproxy. Kubeproxy load balances the traffic between application components. Kubernetes services allow you to dynamically access a group of replica pods without having to keep track of which pods are moved, changed, or deleted. The Kubernetes network proxy runs on each node. This reflects the services as defined in the Kubernetes API on each node and can be simple TCP, UDP, and SCTP stream forwarding or round-robin TCP, UDP, and SCTP forwarding across a set of backends. Service cluster IPs and ports are currently found through Docker links, compatible environment variables, specifying ports opened by the service proxy. There is an optional add-on that provides a cluster DNS for these cluster IPs. The user must create a service with the API server API to configure the proxy. And next one is Docker container runtime, the program that runs on your containers, Docker or RKT or containerd. kubectl is a command line interface. This command line tool for controlling Kubernetes clusters. kubectl looks for a file named config in the $home/.kube directory. Now you know what are the components are included in the Kubernetes master and Kubernetes worker nodes. Now let's move on to next video. Please subscribe my channel Unix Academy for further updates. Thank you.